Hi everyone, my name is Natasha Rahatke. I'm the Bosch brand manager. As you know, Bosch is known for its commitment to helping simplify life in the kitchen, and we're so excited to partner with award-winning chef Curtis Stone to share tips for making it that much easier to prepare delicious seasonal meals for your friends and family. Chef Curtis Stone's going to be creating 2 different recipes for us using these wonderful Bosch appliances, but we had a chance to reach out to our viewers to help us select what we're going to be preparing today. Then when we're finished with our recipes, Chef Curtis is going to teach us a little bit about how to load our dishwasher. But first, let's get a chance to know our chef a little bit more. I'm excited to introduce to you Chef Curtis Stone, a chef, restaurateur, and New York Times bestselling author. You've seen him on the Food Network as the host of Top Chef Masters and The Rachel Ray Show. His first solo restaurant, Maud, opened up in Beverly Hills in 2014 to rave reviews. Chef Curtis then opened up the Gwen Butcher Shop and Restaurant in Hollywood with his brother Luke in 2016, and it's been named LA Weekly's Best New Restaurant, and actually has also been named James Beard Foundation nominee. Plus, Chef Curtis was named Chef of the Year by Eater LA, both as the editor and reader's choice. So why don't we bring out Chef Curtis and let's get cooking. Chef Curtis, thank you so much for joining us and welcome.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be standing in such a beautiful kitchen. Hi guys, we're so glad you joined us. We've got so many beautiful things to cook with you today, and I'm excited to show off some of the features of some of your appliances. They're amazing.
I'm so excited. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your cooking philosophy first, though?
Well, look, I like to cook simple, fresh, and easy. You know, like when I'm cooking at home, just like I'm sure a lot of you guys, we've got families to feed, we've got limited times. You know, but we want to keep it nice, fresh, and healthy, and that's really important to me. So
that's so great, because that's definitely one of our POVs here at Bosch, making it that much easier in the kitchen using our wonderful appliances. So with that, I think we're going to go ahead and get started with some of these fresh, simple meals for you. So our first recipe, I believe, is steaks, and
yes,
our viewers at home really helped us make this decision last week when we posted it to Facebook. So
yeah, you guys decided, you had the choice, and you decided that we'd do some seared steaks with a red wine sauce and steam roasted, and I know that sounds strange, steam roasting, but we're going to do it, steam roasted vegetables. So spring's upon us. We've got beautiful fruit and vegetables available to us, and one of the things I love about this new oven is it steams and roasts all at the same time. Of course,
that's
it can steam,
perfect.
and of course it can roast, but this can do both together, which is awesome.
I love it.
So what I did, I cheated. I went ahead and I preset some potatoes in the oven, and I've got that on the steam convection mode, and you'll see a little bit of steam escaping as I open it, but what you're still going to get is caramelization on the outside of the potatoes, but still moist, steamy potatoes on the inside.
I love that. And Chef, did you know the best chocolate chip cookies I've ever had have come out of that steam oven?
Is that right?
They're so chewy and gooey on the inside, they just melt your mouth, and then just a little crispy on the outside. So you're going to have to try that
I know what
when
I'm
you get
doing
back.
when I get home with my boys this afternoon then. Okay, so I'm going to start the steaks on the induction. Now, here's what's so cool. You pop the pan on the induction,
Great.
and you've got this incredible feature here. I'm going to turn it on, choose the piece that I want, which is the one in the center, and then you can choose the temperature, right? So that's pretty standard. But what you guys have built in is the speed boost. I love this feature because when you're cooking and you want to get it done quickly, this brings all the power to that pan and is going to get the pan super hot, super fast.
It's perfect because we're cooking steaks today, but
Yep.
it's ideal for cooking pastas. Really get that water boiling very easily. And one of my favorite things about this the induction cooktop is it's faster and more efficient than your traditional electric and gas cooktop. So.
And look, the secret is, as chefs, we've been using inductions in restaurants for decades, okay, a long, long time, because of the even cooking you get, because each piece of the pan will be heated perfectly, so you know that you're not going to get a hot spot. You know, sometimes that happens with gas or even electric, but with induction, it's really, really even. It's really, really fast, and what I love the most is the cleanup pretty much doesn't exist because you can just give it a quick wipe down.
And then, Chef, what heat level are you setting up for speed boost?
So I've set that up to an 8. You want it nice and high, so that's right up near the top of the speed dial. And you want that because you want to get a nice golden sear on the outside of your steaks. I'm just going to pop these down so I can season them nicely. And then
those
you also
cuts look beautiful.
Aren't they great? So this is a little something I packed with me from our butcher's shop, Gwen. So a little salt and pepper on both sides.
And it's going to be so great to do this on the induction cooktop because people really eat with their eyes first.
Right.
So that sear is just going to be that much more important visually for your guests. So your friends and family, you really want them to eat with their eyes first.
You really do. And also, you know, the sweetness comes from the sear. So you basically bring in the natural sugars to the surface of the product, which is going to naturally increase the sweetness. I mean, I can feel that
I can feel the heat over here.
Isn't that so
Very
cool?
quick.
Really fast. So like within a minute or so, you're ready. Listen to this sizzle.
Oh, and look at that beautiful smoke.
Isn't that so cool? So you're going to get that instant heat, which is really, really cool. So there you go. The other thing that's so great about induction is the energy efficiency, because you really use way less energy for doing the same jobs in the kitchen. And you can see just how intense.
Definitely smoking very quickly
That's
here.
right, which is great. So I'm going to turn it down ever so slightly. So we're going to hit the button and then turn it down to a 7, say, because you don't want it to get too hot. And then look at this, instantly you're seeing that caramelization in just a matter of seconds.
And you didn't even use any oil or anything, just to
None
sear them.
whatsoever.
Just a beautiful light seasoning and they're good to go.
Well, you've already got some intermuscular fat, so some of that beautiful fat is going to naturally render out of the steaks as we're cooking it.
So that's definitely a wonderful cooking tip for all of you at home. You don't necessarily need to use any additional oil or butter to get your seasoning or get your steaks going. Just a little simple seasoning, which is great.
Right, so turning that over, you can see I've already got a little golden color.
Oh,
So
yeah,
another
that's
30
gorgeous.
seconds and that's going to be ready to flip, which means you're sealing all of that natural juice on the inside, which is what's so cool.
Wonderful. And I think we're going to go grab those potatoes out of the steam convection oven.
So let me pull these out and show you what I'm talking about, because here's what's so cool. It's all in the results, right?
Oh, look at
See
that.
how we've got caramelization on the top of the potatoes, but when I flip some of these guys over, you're also going to see these beautiful golden crispy potatoes underneath. So let me go and flip those over, and then I'm going to also add some asparagus to the pan, because asparagus works so beautifully when you can, again, steam it. You want to keep that natural sort of moisture in the asparagus, but you also, in my opinion, it works so well when you get a little caramelization on the outside of it too.
And one of the things I love about the steam convection oven in terms of utilizing vegetables, fresh fruit, the color, the steam convection oven really helps preserve the nutrients, the color, and the flavor of the vegetables. So you're really helping those vegetables shine.
Okay, so popping that back in, and then let's get some asparagus.
Perfect.
I'm going to go ahead and flip my steaks now, and I'm going to turn that heat back up to a 9, because you know what happens when you add something cold to a pan is, of course, you're going to reduce the heat in the pan. So you want to turn that up. I mean, look at that.
Oh, that just looks beautiful.
You couldn't wish for a nicer color on the outside of a steak. You want that exterior to be really golden and beautifully charred. Like it looks like we just took it off a grill. It looks awesome.
And just minutes, within minutes. So that's another benefit of the induction cooktop. Just very speedy, easy cooking.
Really
which
fast.
is how you like to cook at your restaurant.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, we have to cook quick in the restaurant, but also at home, you don't want to be spending too much time. Here's a little tip with asparagus. This woody section, if you hold the asparagus like that and just let it snap, that snap, this is the piece that won't be very good to eat. So nature will tell you where to actually, you don't even need to get a knife out. That one I've already done.
That's such a wonderful tip. I've been using a knife to cut them at home, but even I learned something today. Just
a snap.
Snap off the
That's
ends.
it.
It's that
That's it.
easy.
So again, if you want to get a little color on these, I'm going to give just a really light drizzle of oil onto my asparagus and a little bit of salt and pepper, and we'll get some golden color on that in the steam convection as well.
That's wonderful. And again, very simple, easy to cook, vegetables that are nutritious too. And it doesn't take a lot of time to prepare these meals at home, which is so wonderful.
Right, and I've got that set all the way up to 450, so nice intense heat with that steam being injected as it cooks. So it's a really interesting way to cook, and we're doing vegetables. Of course, that's the obvious choice, right? But guess what? A roast chicken in a steam convection environment. Again, what these guys have been so clever in doing is stealing what we've used in restaurants for years, because we've used steam convection ovens for decades. I mean, my first ever kitchen, we had one, and that was a long time ago, by the way. So, you know, we've been using that technology, and now to have it in the home is a real treat.
Wonderful. And then how did you start your foray into cooking?
Well, look, I love it. I love cooking from a young age. Look at that. I'm sorry
gorgeous.
to talk about this so much, but to get both
The
both
food takes
sides
priority.
of the steak. Okay, and then you can just drop it back down to a more temperate heat, like a 6 or a 7. And look, we're cooking today without any exhaust fans, so it looks a little smoky, but you've got another little feature built in here. When you press that button, the
Our
exhaust
downdraft
fan,
ventilation.
I'm going to put it back down so you can still see what we cook, but that will take any excess smoke out, which is a really cool feature too. So I started cooking with my 2 grannies. That's why I've named the restaurants after them, Maud and Gwen. I think the first recipe I ever made with Maudie was when I was about 5 years old. So
wow.
yeah, I've been cooking a long time, and I love it. You know, it's one of those beautiful ways that you get to take care of people. That I always said, my mum used to make us play this game called Best and Worst. You'd say the best thing that happened to you that day and the worst thing that happened to you that day. And you get to know what everybody was going through in their lives.
Oh, that's great.
And, you know, there's something so special. And if you can help create a home-cooked meal with a little bit of deliciousness, then that's what it's all about for me.
That's wonderful. That's also a wonderful tip to get conversations started in the kitchen. Mention what you've got going on in the day, what the best part of your day was, the worst part of your day. I'm definitely going to utilize that at home. And cooking really starts from, I think, a young age. I remember being in the kitchen with my mom, pulling out all the pots and pans from the cabinets. Probably a little worrisome for her because she'd have to put everything back in. But it's moments like those that you truly treasure.
Right, it sure is. So I've just put another pan on here with a little bit of veal stock. Now what I've done is I've put it on to 4 degrees. Here's another feature that you guys are going to love. It's called the Auto Chef. So if you go ahead and hit Auto Chef, you'll see it go from a 4 to an A. And what that does is it brings it to an even heat, okay, the one that you selected, but it holds it there. So you don't have to think about it. You don't have to keep coming. So even if I was now to pour more cold liquid, it would go into overdrive, right, and keep the temperature there, which is really cool because it means that it's kind of doing the thinking for you, if you know what I mean. It's a huge feature.
So I've personally used Auto Chef for breakfasts, but it's good to know that you can use it for sauces too.
You sure can. You sure can. There we go. So the steaks have had like a few minutes on either side. I like mine medium rare. What about you?
I'm vegetarian, so I would take my cue from you in terms of what a beautifully prepared steak would look like, but
I
that
think
looks gorgeous.
Medium rare is a pretty good place to start. If you like a little more, you might just give it another 60 seconds maybe, but that's about it. So I'm going to take those off and let them rest. We'll see a little bit of juice come out of the steaks, which is great, but don't cut them for about half the time it took to cook them, if that makes sense. So these have been in for maybe 5 minutes total. So you want to make sure that they get to rest for a good few minutes before you do anything else with it. Now, in the same pan, because see all that flavor that's at the bottom of that pan? I don't want to lose that. So I'm going to go ahead and pour a little red wine. And again, you'll see this come to the boil.
Oh, look at that
and look
color.
how quickly that comes to the boil, and it lifts off all the flavor of the bottom of the pan, which is really cool.
So that's another great tip. Heat the pan that you're cooking your protein in and utilize that flavor for sauces.
I'm going to add a little garlic, so the flavor of that garlic is going to be great too. And then you can even go ahead and give that just a quick whisk to lift any of that flavor off the bottom of the pan. We're going to let that reduce down, and then I'm going to add just a little butter to it.
And then you didn't chop the garlic at all, just a quick little
Right, I just squash it because you just want a little bit of the flavor infused into the actual sauce there.
Great.
So let's have a look at our potatoes. I think they should be good to go. I'm going to go ahead and pull those guys out. The asparagus needs just another minute.
Oh, those definitely are golden brown. So really
Isn't that
that
so
steam
cool?
convection mode is really toasting those potatoes.
But here's what's so great. So you take one of these super crispy potatoes, and let me just break into it. Look how soft and steamy
look
and
at that.
just perfect that is.
Those look very tempting to eat.
It gets great on the outside, but also on the inside too.
Pillowy soft, as some would say.
So I'm going to bring those over and pop those on the same plate. And then as that steak sort of just releases a little of its juices, those potatoes will be there to catch it, which I love. And then, see how this has come to, this is another really great talking point for induction cooktops, because I know a lot of people are new to the idea of induction and they're like, well, that's different. Should I stick with gas or should I go for electric? The thing I love about this is how in control you are as a chef. So I've got that set to 6, which is just over a medium, and you can see how perfectly even the bubbles are coming up through the simmer. If you want to touch 7, sorry, let me go back to the center. If you want to hit 7, you'll see those bubbles will just get a little larger. It'll go a little bit faster.
It's instantaneous.
It's instant, you know, like straight away that happens. So as the cook, you're totally in control of what it is you're doing. The only bad thing about induction is you can't blame the equipment anymore. So if something goes wrong.
So you heard it here.
Yeah,
First,
that's
always
right.
maintain your control with induction.
Right, and then, you know, I put the stock on just a moment ago, so that started cold. So if you wanted to bring that up to a boil much faster, again, you could go ahead and hit that speed boost, and that's going to bring all the power to that pan and get it happening really fast. In fact, you'll see how fast. That was a cold stock, and I would imagine that within a couple of minutes, that's going to be bubbling away and looking pretty good. So the only thing really left to do here for the sauce is you reduce that red wine just a little. We're going to add some stock to that as well. Then we're going to whisk in just a little bit of butter. And that becomes sort of this delicious red wine pan sauce that we made with the steaks that I think is really cool.
Well, that looks very tasty and so easy. Almost within minutes, you have a delicious meal prepared for your friends and family at home.
It is. It's such a great way to do it. And, you know, I think with whether you're also with the convection steam, there's so many ways to use it. I mentioned before cooking a whole chicken. Yeah, you get beautiful caramelized skin on the inside and juicy chicken on but the fish you can cook in there is fantastic too.
Salmon.
Bread, yeah, the salmon is fantastic that comes out of there. It really, so you see the steam lifting from this in just seconds, and that, again, is what's just so impressive about the speed that you can cook.
Less than 2 minutes, it's being activated through the speed boost function. So that's great.
So that's working. Let's check on our asparagus because that should be just about there. Oh, yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Look at
They're
that.
like glistening.
Beautiful. And you mentioned before keeping the color in your food, and you really can with this oven, which is what's so cool.
They just look so bright and full of life.
Truly, I would serve it like this. But let's take some out now, and then we'll leave some in so I can show you how you can take the asparagus a little further. So if you wanted to just, I'm just going to pop around the front here. If you wanted to just take them so they're perfectly green and tender, I would do that. But if you wanted to caramelize them, let's pop them back in. I left that door open, so it's going to take, oh, I'm doing it the wrong way. It's going to take just a moment. So that goes in. We've got it set all the way up to 450, so it will be pretty fast. And look at that. In the time that it took me to do that, this has already come to the boil. So it's, you know, when you want really direct, fast cooking, you know where to come. All right, so let's add a little bit of that stock to the red wine. And
the red wine reduction's just beautifully reduced so quickly. It's one of the things I love about induction. You've touched on this before. It's just so easy to use the induction cooking to really efficiently prepare meals for your family.
It really is. And you know, when you're thinking about that, getting home from work, how do you get a delicious meal on the table? It actually can be really simple. If you've got the right ingredients and the right equipment, life in the kitchen is actually pretty simple. It's when we overcomplicate it with either bad ingredients or you know, a pan that doesn't work or a cooktop that's no good. That's when it gets a bit more difficult. All right, so I'm going to reduce that heat now because I've got it reduced down, you know, the velocity of the sauce is right where I want it. So it's time to add just a little bit of butter, and I'm going to whisk that into my sauce. But I don't want the heat to be too intense while I whisk that butter in.
And adding the butter to your sauces, what does that really do? Does that enhance the flavor profile of the sauces? Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's a French technique. We use it in French cooking, and basically what we're doing, it's called a beurre blanc or monter au beurre, they say in France. I've probably got a really bad French accent, but thickening with butter. So the butter will actually help to thicken the sauce ever so slightly and certainly enrich the flavor.
Wonderful.
When you've got something acidic like red wine, the butter actually works as a really good balance.
Oh, great.
So just a little more.
You shouldn't be afraid of a little butter.
Little butter. Well, here's the thing: when you've got the right equipment, you saw I didn't use any oil to cook the steak in, so you're actually saving some calories there. So you can add a couple more back at the end, and still works out just the same.
Anytime someone says saving calories, I'm good to go.
All right, so you whisk that together, and I'm going to go ahead and just spoon this sauce
Oh, that looks gorgeous.
straight over my steak. And imagine bringing this out to a platter of people that were just sitting up for dinner. I think you'd be pretty popular. There you go. So beautiful steaks. And again, you've got those crispy potatoes that are still juicy and steamy on the inside. And you've done it in just minutes. It's really so simple.
12 minutes, a beautiful, delicious, simple meal for your family. I love it.
Nice and easy.
So I think what we're going to do now is switch gears and maybe create a second recipe. And we're going to go French toast. You heard me talk about it a little earlier, how I love using the induction cooktop to cook pancakes and French toast. And we're really going to showcase how to do that live here today. And tell me a little bit about what we're using for our French toast.
So I just want to talk about this real quick because, you know, what would it normally look like if you cook steaks on your cooktop at home? Probably a mess, right? Well, this is what you do with induction. You just get a damp cloth like that, and you bring it over, and you just give the whole thing a wipe down. And this is what's so cool about it, because normally you're removing grates and you're getting out a steel pad, and here you can just go ahead.
So easily being cleaned up.
So simple.
And
You
I know
just
that was
wipe it down.
something you and I had talked about not earlier, but having a really clean kitchen, along with the cooking process, just makes it that much more easier in the kitchen once you're done with your meal.
The other thing that it will do is if you turn it off like I just did, a little H will come up and say it's actually got some heat retention from where the pan was sitting on top of it. So it'll warn you not to, not to go and touch it with your bare hand. So now turn it back on because it's time for some French toast. I've got another couple of pans down here. So again, I'm going to just go ahead and use that center on a pretty medium heat. You know, when you're cooking French toast, you don't want it to be too high because you want to sort of let that caramelize slowly. So I've put it on 5 to get going, and then over here, I'm going to make a caramel sauce. So let me choose that one, and let's turn that up to maybe an 8. And let's use the speed boost function so we can get that going really quick because it takes a minute to do. So for good French toast, all you need is either a brioche or a challah, you know, something that's quite a rich bread made with some eggs rather than just a white bread.
Sure.
So we're going to use that. We've got some eggs up here with a little bit of cream and a little bit of milk. So we'll just
again,
whisk those
very
together.
simple, easy to do at home.
Absolutely. So let's whisk that with a little milk, not too much. And a
then
little
you've
cream.
got thicker cuts of bread there. Is there a reason why we had some thicker cuts of bread?
I like it nice and thick because it's actually going to make, it's going to give, this is basically a custard that we've just made, right? So we whisk that all in. And what's going to happen now is the bread's going to absorb some of that custard, which is what gives it such that beautiful sort of consistency. So that's why I cut it nice and thick, because I want to absorb more of that custard. So just push those around and let that soak up. So that takes a minute or so to soak that up. While we're waiting for that, you can feel that. It's so fast.
It's already hot.
It's already hot. So I'm going to turn it back down to about a 6, which is where I'll let it settle. But watch this. I'm going to pour sugar in here. It's going to start melting the sugar instantly.
Oh, and you can see that steam coming from the pan, which is great. Another reason why I love the induction cooktop is there's sensors underneath, specifically on the element. So you're not getting the cooktop hot anywhere else except where you've activated the heat in that element.
Right, which is what makes it so energy efficient. Now, with the sugar here, the caramel, I'm just going to get a vanilla bean and just roll it in my fingers and then slice it down so you're splitting it in half lengthways. I'm going to add that to my sugar. You can scrape some of that vanilla out if you like.
Oh, look at that.
so we
All
get
that flavor is really in that vanilla bean pods right there.
Absolutely. And then if you wanted to use a little orange zest, I'm going to finish it with some orange zest, but I'm also going to add just a little to the sugar. So, you know, normally, again, you'd be using the sugar with a little water and you'd be softening it and being a little worried about whether you're going to burn it or not. But because of the induction and knowing the control we have, and if you take that to the next step, I can now stick that on Auto Chef, knowing that that's going to maintain that heat no matter what I add to it or do to it. It's going to give me that beautiful heat. So Spring's on us, right?
It is.
Strawberries are fantastic right now. So is rhubarb. I'm going to use strawberries, but truly you could use either one for this recipe that we're putting into our sugar. And if you see, I've given this about a minute, so it started to soak up some of that custard. Now we're just going to flip it over. Okay. So we flip that bread and let it absorb the custard on the other side as well.
Oh, great.
Okay, so another minute there. Which is a good chance. I mean, if you have a look, see how this is already starting to turn golden, right? And because we know that we're in total control of it over here,
we don't have to worry as much about it.
We don't have to think about it too much, which is cool. Set it and forget it, I say.
I love that. Set it and forget it. My new philosophy towards cooking. Only with the induction cooktop, though.
Exactly, yep. All right, so let's have a look over here. We've got the steam convection in action. You see the steam escaping. But here's what's so cool.
Oh, look at that.
See how we've got colour?
Caramelized so much more.
Right, on the asparagus, which is really, I mean, that's not easy to do.
No.
You know, so it's a powerful little unit and gives you such a beautiful variety in which you can cook.
That's great. And it just smells so appetizing. So not only do people eat with their eyes, but I think smell's also very important.
It sure is. So, French toast. All you need to do is add a little butter to the pan because we're going to cook the French toast in just a little butter. So again, we've preset that to a 5, so you can see.
Already starting to melt.
It's already starting to melt, but it's also not too savage a heat. So when you want that really intense heat like we did for the steak,
right.
You remember we put the steak in, straight away, it starts to caramelize. You can also preset it with real control here, knowing that when we put the butter in the pan to a 5, we're just going to get that, I mean, it's taking a minute for the butter to melt, which is what you want with French toast. So we move that around the pan.
That smells so delicious in here. I wish you guys could be here.
It's not bad, is it? The smell of melting sugar and
butter.
Gently caramelizing butter.
All things that are good.
Okay, so once that's had a couple of minutes in the custard, what you do is you just pick these guys up and drop them straight into your pan. I'm going to do these 2 at a time. Beautiful. Now, if you really wanted to get more of that custard in, you just get a little spoon. And I just like to just pop, and you'll watch, that'll just be slowly absorbed.
It's interesting you're doing that because I do that at home all the time. And I've always wondered, do chefs also do that?
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Good to know.
You want that flavor for sure. Okay, so that'll just slowly absorb into there. And again, you can see my sugar looks like it's slowed down. So let's just come back over here and turn it back on. And that's the great thing. When you're cooking, you can keep your eye on stuff and be like, oh, you know what? Does that need a little more? Did I underestimate the temperature that I wanted it at? And you're always in control of it. And you always know that, I always say it's kind of like driving a car. If you drive a car that's super responsive and got hard suspension like a race car, you're in real control of that car. And that's kind of like driving the induction.
Cruise control for induction cooktops.
Right. It sure is. And again, from something really intense in heat to something super gentle like the French toast, and you can see that's just bubbling away. Now, we wouldn't want that butter to start burning on the bottom. You want to get it golden rather than dark brown. And again, with the caramel, so that's just going to come back up and take just a moment. So we've got all sorts of things going on. We've got strawberries here. Like I said before, spring is the perfect time to get your hands on these little guys.
Those look beautiful.
All I've done is hulled them and cut them in half. And, the truth is, once you learn how to make this caramel, you can do so many things with it. Rhubarb is great. Other berries like blackberries, even raspberries work really well.
Blackberries.
Blackberries, delicious.
I love
right?
blackberries.
Well, you have to wait for summer for the blackberries. And then as fall rolls around, the apples and the pears come out so brilliantly. So each season gives us something different, and there's always something beautiful to stick into a caramel.
And then you're using strawberries at Mod as well, right?
Oh yeah, it's Strawberry Month. We just we do one ingredient per month, and we do a 10-course menu out of that one ingredient. So we've just released the seats for the dinner reservations for May. So that went on sale just yesterday, and they're already going fast. So, but yeah, we're doing strawberries everywhere. Walnut starts tomorrow.
Strawberries is one of my favorite berries. And the farmer's market is where I go to usually find them. They just have these beautiful, juicy strawberries. So I'm excited to see how you incorporate them with caramel sauce.
Oh yeah. So, as you can see, you can sort of just move this around the pan, right, with great ease. Let's just have a little peek.
Oh, look at that.
See how that's just starting to caramelize? It's not quite there yet, but I wanted to show it to you just before it's actually ready to flip. Because, again, that custard that's through that huller, you can see how thick we're taking it, is just slowly setting as well. So it's the perfect temperature for it.
Perfect.
And over here, our sugar, let's have a little stir and see. That's starting to caramelize, so that's looking good. We can turn that heat up ever so slightly.
And are you going to add anything else to that caramel sauce, Chef?
I'm going to wait for it to get back to a liquid and then super gooey, and then all I'm going to add to it is some strawberries.
Oh, so simple. Again, if you want like this delicious seasonal meals, it's not that hard to really do using the right appliances. It's very simple and really quick. So
really fast, yeah.
Love this approach to cooking.
That's what's so cool about it. Once you get a few recipes under your belt and you've got the right equipment, it just starts to escalate. You start cooking so differently for your family and trying new things, and it really can take off. All right, I think our French toast is probably ready, so let's go ahead and flip that guy over.
Perfect.
Beautiful and golden. That's what we're looking for. So both sides, perfect. Again, it's just, having that control really changes how you can cook here. So I'm going to just crank this right up to 9 now because, again, I want to work through this in a couple of different temperatures. See how it's just starting to move?
Yeah, it's really starting to liquefy now.
That's right, and that's sort of what you're waiting for. So as soon as that really kicks in, because the color comes fast. As soon as it starts to turn golden, it can quickly get to a dark brown, right? You don't want to get there. You want it to still be beautiful and golden, and that's when you sort of add your strawberries and just a little bit of cream to help sort of soften that up. So if you see that, look how it's just starting to run.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Isn't that beautiful?
And no cream, no milk, no nothing. It's just
sugar at this point.
Just sugar. Beautiful brightening from the orange flavor. You got the vanilla undertones coming in, and then really highlighting those beautiful strawberries. So
exactly.
Oh, look at that. And all within a few minutes. So it's not really taking us a long time. You could really impress someone and say, oh, I slaved over our appliances for such a long time to bring you this delicious meals. But that can be your little secret where you only spent like 12 minutes.
That's right. Okay, so you can see now the sugar's come to a boiling point, so it's actually starting to bubble away. So if I lift that pan up now, you'll see it really starting to liquidify. Move it around the pan.
Oh, look at that. And you're going to leave those vanilla beans in there
I'm going to
the
leave
last
them
minute?
in fact, what you can do is you can kind of even just get a spoon and give them a bit of a beating, and then what'll happen is any of those last little vanilla beans will come out of the pods, which is cool.
Oh, that's great. And literally within a few minutes here, that sugar has come down to a liquid caramel sauce that you now see. And it happened here right before my eyes. And it's just
cool,
so amazing how quickly we can transform simple ingredients into really delicious meals.
Yeah, no, it's really awesome. So as soon as you get back to that liquid, and like I mentioned before, this can quite quickly get too hot, and then you're starting to burn the sugar, and that's not what you want. You just want that nice, gentle golden color. So that's the beauty of having a cooktop that you have real control over. So with a little cream, I'm going to add this. Will start bubbling straight away. Okay.
Oh, and you see those bubbles forming
instantly, which is so cool. So again, we've added that cream to create a caramel sauce, and then it's time to add the fruit. So we just give that a good old stir around.
And
Maybe
it's
just a
getting
drop
this
more.
golden brown, creamy color. It had like this deep auburn color, but just right before me, it's turning into this beautiful caramel tasty sauce.
Right, and then you add your strawberries in, so be generous and throw all of those guys in. And then you're going to have these incredible sort of caramel strawberries in no time at all.
That's beautiful. I think I'm going to go grab a plate.
Yeah.
Because I'm starting to get
idea.
really hungry.
Now, here's what's so cool. This we know is really hot. Here, you would think, oh, maybe that's hot too. It's not. So you can even use this as a work surface. So you can put a plate down.
Put a plate there.
Right, and you can actually start plating up right on the stovetop, which I love.
Okay, I'm going to get behind you because I really can't help myself right now. Grab a fork here.
Go for it. so we get some of those caramel. I'm going to grab a spoon too. Look at that sticky, delicious caramel. Perfect. So that's just going to take just a second to melt. But I know you can't wait, so let's just get some of those berries out of there.
Becoming impatient. Sorry, Chef.
No, don't worry. Look at that. Beautiful.
Oh, that looks gorgeous. Okay, I'm going to go in.
Gorgeous.
A little bit here.
So you get the sweetness from the caramel and then a little bit of acidity from the strawberries, although they're very sweet too. As they sort of just soften in that caramel, they release a little bit of their juices and it gets saucier and saucier. So just the eating experience gets better and better.
All right.
How is it?
That is so delicious. The French toast is just so custardy. The caramel sauce with the strawberries just so nice and warm and delicious. Thank you so much.
Simple, right?
Oh my God, so simple. But one of the things I love right after cooking is cleaning, and you've seen Chef Curtis Stone cleaning as we go along, but
See,
loading
that's where
the
we're
dishwasher.
different. I can't stand the cleaning. My rule used to be I cook, you clean. But here's the deal. With your new dishwasher, it makes cleaning it takes
That
all
much
the
easier.
argument out of I cook, you clean, because the cleaning's so simple. Should we show them?
I think we should. So this is our brand new dishwasher. We just open it up.
Which is just a dream.
I mean, look at that. You've got these flex space tines that fold down, so if you were using a large pot there,
Right.
you could simply just load it in.
Like a giant, and this is an 8-quart pot, you guys. So it's a big stock pot that you can just go ahead and drop in back there. But do you want to show them how you can set it up differently?
Absolutely. So if we had those plates that I just had, that delicious French toast and caramel strawberry sauce off,
So to give you an
simply
example.
load it in there very easily. And as you can see, Chef's loading a couple plates in there. So
Right,
really
so-
that flexibility of how you want to load the dishwasher, it really is your way.
Right, so there's 1,000 ways to load it up, whether it's for plates or big pans. I'll go ahead and pop that back down. And it's just so easy. And, because the truth is, you're not always cooking the same thing.
No, you're not.
Sometimes you're loading it with plates, sometimes you're loading it with pots and pans.
So we'll put that back in. And it's just so easy to load and unload these racks because we install these ball bearings into the wheels. So Chef, if you want to just feel how
it gives it this incredible smooth
smooth
touch.
it
It's
is.
just it's like silky. And when you're dealing with expensive wine glasses, you want it to feel smooth because you don't want to be clanging
Exactly.
things around, which is really cool.
I love the way that you describe it. It's so silky. I'm going to start using that now.
It really is, and you can stand them up like that,
Or you could
you can
just
pop them in
prop
there. So,
them.
so you've actually built this rack to actually, account or accommodate for wine glass stems.
Just simply like
There
that.
you go.
And then one of the new features that I'm really excited about, our new My Way rack, because you can really load things your specific way.
Right. I call this because again, you've got that beautiful, soft, silky pull-out. It's, you finished loading the dishwasher, but then you look around and there's those 3 more dishes and you're like, oh, I can't fit them in anywhere. Well, this is like that little dream rack where you can, of course, you can put a little silverware, but you can also fit nice, generous sized bowls.
And these are pretty large. I mean, cereal
Yeah.
bowls. I eat a lot of breakfast in addition to French toast with items that go in bowls, so like cereal or parfaits or even fresh fruit. And like you said, they were just taking up so much space, but you can simply just load them in the My Way rack and close it.
Now, we
very
were talking
easily.
earlier and I said, here's a question. Do you have to rinse before you put it in the dishwasher? And you said, actually, we suggest against rinsing. And I
Right.
wanted to leap over and give you a big kiss on the cheek because I don't want to have to rinse my plates and knives and forks before I put them in.
And you don't have to. You just simply scrape and load because the dishwasher needs to sense that there's something to clean within your dishes. So we do not recommend rinsing your dishwasher or your dishes.
dishes
Just
at all.
simply
So great.
scrape them, load them, and you're good to go.
It's such a dream. And like I said, look at that with one finger, this sort of beautiful silky pull-out. It makes all the difference when you're doing the dishes.
So you'll enjoy cleaning
it.
as much as you'll enjoy cooking moving forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's so
Well,
simple.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We're truly excited to have you as a partner for Bosch. And you guys will have to tune in. We'll be posting some blog posts on A Modern Haven with some of the recipes that we've cooked today. And if you want to learn more about Chef Curtis Stone, definitely check out his website, curtisstone.com, the Bosch blog, A Modern Haven, or learn more about Bosch in general, go to the Bosch website, bosch-home/US. We'll be seeing you a lot more in the next few months.
Excited.
So thank you so much for joining us.
Equipment.
Bye.
Bye, guys.